Okay, so this is Tosefta Makkot. So this Tosefta is supplementary to the Mishnah, supplementary. So if you're doing the Daf Yomi cycle and you read and it talks about things being in a Brightot, or in the Brightot, the teachings, that would be stuff you'd find here in Tosefta. So this is Parak Hay, chapter 5. He who muzzles the cow in its threshing, he who yokes up mixed species, an ox and an ass, are exempt. You have none who is liable except the one who actually leads or drives them. Rabbi Elazar says a Nazarite who put his mouth on the mouth of a wine jug and drank the whole of it while subject to a single act of warning is liable only on one account. If they warn him and he nonetheless drinks, warn him and he nonetheless drinks, he is liable on each and every act of drinking. And so did Rabbi Elazar say, if he took a bunch of grapes and ate them all up while subject on a single act of warning, he is liable for only a single sin offering. If they warn him and he eats of it, he is liable for each and every grape. If he ate from it both fresh and dried grapes, ate from it 2 skins in a pit, or if he sucked from it so much as an olive's bulk of wine, and drank that wine, he is liable on each and every account. He who offers up an olive's bulk of the bread of 2 showbreads for an idol, or outside of the courtyard, lo, this one is liable. As it is said, as an offering of first fruits you shall bring them to the Lord. Leviticus 2:12. All the same are the altar and the ram for this purpose. He who offers up a piece of meat of a sin offering, a piece of meat of the guilt offering, a piece of meat of the most holy things, a piece of meat of lesser holy things, a bit of the remnant of the omer of the 2 loaves and the showbread, and of the residue of meal offerings, or of leaven or of honey. All of these transgress a negative commandment. As it is said, for you shall burn no leaven nor any honey as an offering by fire to the Lord. Leviticus 2:11. Rabbi Yoshi says, if the man offered up only sin offerings, only burnt offerings, or only peace offerings, he is liable on a single count alone. But if it was a single offering and a burnt offering and a peace offering, he is liable on each count. He who consecrates and actually slaughters and offers a blemished animal for the altar transgresses on 5 counts. Because of not slaughtering, not consecrating, not tossing its blood, not burning up its fat, and not burning up even part of it. Since it is said, this is when anyone, etc., presents his offering, etc., to be accepted, you shall offer a male without blemish, etc. You shall not offer anything that has a blemish, for it will not be accepted, etc. Leviticus 22:18-20. To be accepted, it must be perfect. There shall be no blemish in it. Leviticus 22:21. And Rabbi Yoshi ben Rabbi Yehuda says, also on account of not receiving its blood. If one consecrated it but did not actually slaughter it as an offering, he is liable on only one single count. If he consecrated it, slaughtered it, and tossed its blood, he is liable on each count. He who consecrates a beast which has had relations with a human being, and a beast upon which a human being has had relations, a beast set aside for idolatry, and a beast which has been used for idolatrous purposes, the hire of a harlot, and the price of a dog, transgresses all of these specified counts. And lo, these beasts are tantamount to blemished animals, the acts of consecration of which came before their suffering a blemish. But they go forth to secular purposes only if they suffer a permanent blemish alone. He who effects an act of substitution, Leviticus 27:10, in the case of animals which have been consecrated, and he who shears animals which have been consecrated, and he who does an act of labor with animals which have been consecrated, or who slaughters them with the improper intention of offering up the sacrificial parts or eating the meat outside of the proper time, or who slaughtered them with the improper intention of offering up the sacrificial parts or eating the meat outside of the proper place, transgresses a negative commandment. There is he who plucks 2 hairs and becomes liable on 4 counts, because of being a Nazir, because of being a Mitzorah, because of doing so on a festival day, and because of making a bald spot. He who kills a man, domestic beast, wild beast, fowl, whether fully grown or minor, whether male or female, all the same are making many injuries and making few injuries, transgresses a negative commandment. It has been said, but if any man hates his neighbor and lies in wait for him and attacks him and wounds him mortally so that he died, Deuteronomy 18:11, all the same is the one who injures a snake or a scorpion, and he who sterilizes man, domestic beast, wild beast, fowl, meaning castrates, right? Whether full grown or minor, whether male or female, lo, this one is liable. Because creatures are created and designed by the Creator to procreate. So Rabbi Yehuda says, he who emasculates males is liable. He who sterilizes females is exempt. That's the minority opinion. Rabbi Yehuda is the minority opinion. That's why they state it, is because he was a lone voice there. He who makes an idol, chisels it, sets it up, anoints it, dries it off, or planes it, transgresses a negative commandment. He who turns over a single stone of the hall, the sanctuary, the area between the hall and the altar, or from the altar, transgresses a negative commandment. As it is said, you shall surely destroy all the places where the nations whom you shall dispossess serve their gods. Upon the high mountains and upon the hills and under every green tree you shall tear down their altars and dash in pieces their pillars and burn their asherim in fire. You shall hew down the graven images of their gods and destroy their name out of that place. You should not do so to the Lord your God. Deuteronomy 12:2-4. Rabbi Yishmael says, he who blots out one letter of the divine name transgresses a negative commandment. As it is said, you will destroy their name out of that place. You will not do so to the Lord your God. Deuteronomy 12:3-4. And he who postpones offering animals which have been consecrated, he who leaves over animals which have been consecrated, he who leaves over leaven on the Passover, and he who preserves mixed seeds in a vineyard, transgresses a negative commandment. But he is not flogged with 40 lashes. For there is no concrete affirmative action involved in these things. This is the governing principle. In consequence of any transgression which involves a concrete action, one is flogged. But in consequence of any transgression which does not involve a concrete action, one is not flogged. Except for the case of one who effects an act of substitution, Leviticus 27:10, and one who curses his fellow with the divine name. He who removes the dam with the offspring. Rabbi Yoshi says in the name of Rabbi Yoshi Haglili, all those who transgress a negative commandment which involves an affirmative action, if they have carried out the negative commandment, they are exempt from flogging, and if not, they are liable. If one did a transgression which subject to 2 counts of violating negative prohibitions, they do not make an estimate of his capacity to take the flogging to cover both of them. But he is flogged and healed and again is flogged. If they make an estimate that he can take only 40 stripes, 40 lashes, they do not add even one more stripe to that number. But they take one off that number. And if they made an estimate they can only take 20, they do not add even a single one to that number, but they take off 2. Therefore, if the minister added even a single stripe and the man died, lo, this one is sent into exile on his account. If they made an estimate that he can take only 3 stripes, even if he is standing there and defies them to lay on more, and they do not add even a single one, therefore, if the minister added even a single stripe and the man died, lo, this one is sent into exile on his account. They do not make an estimate of his capacity to take more than 40 stripes. The words of Rabbi Yehuda. Said Rabbi Yoshi, under what circumstances? When he has been subject to a single act of testimony and a single act of warning. But if he has been subject to 2 distinct acts of testimony and 2 distinct acts of warning, they make an estimate of his capacity to take even 50 and even 100. Therefore, if he had loose bowels because of one of them, they flog him. And if they made an estimate of him that he is flogged, he will have loose bowels, they flog him. If they made an estimate that if he leaves the court, he will have loose bowels, they flog him. If he had loose bowels before he was flogged, they nonetheless flog him. As it is said, then if the guilty man deserves to be beaten, the judge shall cause him to lie down and be beaten in his presence with a number of stripes in proportion to his offense. 40 stripes may be given him, but not more, lest if one should go on to beat him with more stripes than these, your brother be degraded in your sight. Deuteronomy 25:2-3. If after he was flogged he had loose bowels, they do not flog him anymore. And in what does this